Okay, welcome back everybody to Coffee and Art in the Morning. I'm Dede and we're into another segment now, doing all kinds of things today. Uh, so I think we're going to work in the napkin journal. Um, Queenie sent us this napkin here with the seahorse on it. And so I think I'm going to go ahead and either use one or I don't even know what page we're going to use. I know we have a napkin in here with shells. And then I thought we would cut out a page out of the Mermaid coloring book. Calm Ocean. Selena Finich. I don't know if I've shown this. I'll do a little flip through. I've already colored one thing out of it, and I tore it out and colored it. Or did I make a copy? No, did I tear it out? I think I tore it out. Yeah, I think I tore it out. I can't even remember if I tore it out. So anyway, yeah, all kinds of mermaids in here. Yeah, it was. I made a copy of it because there's two of each. So I think I tore it out. Let me just get it. Yeah, I made a copy of it on cardstock because I knew I wanted to add stickles to it. So yeah, I couldn't remember. I do so many projects, guys. It's hard to remember sometimes. All right. So anyway, um, I already have one, but it's a finished, full on finished page. So here's what I did, and it's on cardstock, and it's watercolor, and it's got stickles. Now I did not do a ton of shading or a ton of detail. I kept it pretty simple because I knew I was going to put stickles all over her, right? So you can kind of see. There's the little mermaid. Yeah, I have to go watch Colleen's. I haven't seen her recordings yet. So I have to go back and watch Colleen's recordings. So there you can see it's just got stickles all over it. The water. I didn't put it on her skin except right here where like the scales are starting to like grow on her right there. So yeah. So it's just a simple. It's really a simple page. I didn't. There's not a lot of detail. Really, guys, this is not time consuming. This was not time consuming at all. So that's her here. All right, so let me go ahead and flip through. So anyway, in this book, there's two copies of each thing. There's two copies of each um, mermaid. So I haven't planned anything out. I don't even know what page we're going to do in the napkin journal yet. Thanks, guys. I just like she's really too big to do. Well, maybe not. I mean, if she'd take up a big portion of the page. Yeah, she might not be. She's got scales on her. Something like this might be good for the page. Long and thin. I'm talking about just like this much of it. That would probably fit well in the napkin journal. And by the way, the napkin journal, if you're just watching the show, this is a live show on Ustream with mostly live people. I say that because some people nap. Anyway, it's a faux ledger day book, and my sister sent this back to me in 1999, and I never used it, so we turned it into a napkin journal. Thanks, Terry, for putting in the link. And I'll just do a quick little flip through here. Like I put almost every page has napkins. There's probably I don't know, maybe there's about 10 pages left that don't have napkins. So I'm just using this to do like fairies, mermaids, gnomes, elves, that kind of thing in this book. So you can see, here's one right here. This is the Juliet Crane, out of the Juliet Crane book. But this is all napkins. This is out of a different color book, an animal book. I don't even remember which one. So I'm just going to show you real quick what we've got so far. And I'll refocus here, guys, when I zoom in, when we work. Although this is not bad. Let me just see. It doesn't look too bad. I think we got it here. So here's one with fish. So something like this, one of these one of these Seahorses, and I'm just going to cut one out, because if I use one, I'm only going to use one Seahorse, you know, on the page. And if y'all know that when you use a napkin, there's like 2, sometimes 3 layers of napkin. So just take you some tape, and I learned this from Miss Jean, and you just put the tape on the back and it pulls off the back. See, with the Scotch tape. Okay, and then there's another layer, so just get another piece of tape. Thanks, Carrie, for putting in links. Let's see if there's another layer here. There we go, and it just pulls the layers. Now be careful, you know, if it's a napkin, it'll tear. And so if I do put him on here, though, you see how translucent they are? It would be okay. You could still see a little bit, but you could also just kind of paint an area out white so that it, I think I'm going to take these shells off too. Because anytime you use a napkin on anything, it's best to have it, if you put it on a white background, or, you know, this was an off-white background, because look how vibrant that is. But if you put it on, let me find something dark. If you put it on something that's been painted or has paint on it, let me grab this portfolio. Let me grab my drawing portfolio. I have this big cutout on here. Oh, and by the way, I made Cam some stickers. These are two of his drawings that I made him stickers out. I made sheets of stickers out of them. Now, he did have me take the white border off of his copies, but those are 2 of Cam's drawings that I turned into stickers. So anyway, but if you put the napkin on something, all right, so here it is on white again. See how vibrant that looks? But if you put it on something dark, see how it dulls it down? Not that there's necessarily anything wrong with it, but if you want the vibrancy of the napkin colors, you need to start with the white or light color, because the dark color, you see, it makes it dull down. So just so FYI. All right. So if we put that on there, we might paint this out a little bit of white. All right, let's get the, hang on guys, let me get my camera settings. Anytime I change the, brighten it up a little here, refocus, because this is like our 5th show today, so it it kind of has a tendency to there we go. That's pretty good, I think. All right. So I'm thinking she might be a good one. So anyway, there's 2 copies of each of the mermaids in this book. That's a good one too. These 2 would both actually work. One on each page, or just her on one side. I kind of just like her. I think we're going to go with that one so far. But let me just flip through just so y'all can kind of see the different ones. I like this one with all the seals. Faux leather in my journal like you did. Yeah, there's for those of y'all, I have had a couple people ask too. There are videos on the faux leather journal, how to paint the faux leather journals, the dilutions, chipboard covered journals to make them look like leather. Yeah, I do have a video on that. Thanks, Donna. She's pretty too. She could go across 2 pages. So yeah. I like her too. She could be just sitting right here, and the Seahorse could be here. or here. I'm kind of wanting something on this side though. Let's see. And that's the one I did. And now they're repeating. So I think we're going to go with this one. I'll just color on top of here. All right, so a few tips again. Repeating the tips that I always, anytime I start a new project, I tell y'all what I'm thinking, where we're going. Even if we've done the same kind of project before, I still tell y'all the process because that's just the way I roll. So if you want to color something out of your color book and put it in a book, especially a napkin journal, which is kind of textury, the napkin is kind of textury, and I'm going to finish flipping through this too. You don't want to color on here, because let me show you what happens on here where I'm not going to use this bit. If you start coloring over here, I don't know if you'll be able to see. See the texture? You're picking up the texture. You're not going to get a smooth blend if you cut her out, glue her on, and then start coloring. You want to color first, then cut out, and then glue, so that you don't, oh, thanks, Terry. You don't have it like, textury, unless you want a textury. There's nothing wrong with that. That's the way you want it, but so we're going to color on a smooth surface. And I like to color it before I cut it out, because then it doesn't matter if you go out of lines or anything. If you do a wash on it with paint, then you can, cut it out, not worrying about the edges. So that's what we're going to do here. Because I'm just going to cut her, and it looks like she's got a mirror, either a mirror behind her or a sister behind her or something. I'm not sure. But there's two of them there, and arms locked. So I'm going to just cut this out after we color it. All right, so here's what we have so far in the journal. Again, so you can see the dates around the edges, and I'll just show you the ones that we have finished. All right, so like this one, we've got quite a few finished in here. All these are just napkins glued down. It even has a bookmark in this thing here. But it's like a date book, a day book, and so these are all ready for different creatures, different characters, whatever we want to add to them. So you can just see all the different variety of napkins that you can get. And most of the girls, you can probably get them at Tuesday morning. You can get them at party stores. You can get them at Hallmark. Anywhere party supplies are, guys. People ask me, where do you get cool napkins? Any place that has party supplies, gift wrap. Walmart has a party section. All the stores have sections where they have the wrapping paper, the paper plates, the napkins. But Tuesday morning seems to have the most selection. I don't have a Tuesday morning anymore. My Tuesday morning closed down. So I do have a couple blank pages here. And then here's another one that we've done. So this is another Juliet Crane, and then this is napkins in the background, and then this is another cutout page. No, this is part of the napkin, the butterflies. This is a color book cutout. So I'm just going to kind of flip so you can kind of see some of the different kinds of ones we have in here that are ready to go. They're ready to go. Ready to have characters added to them. So I'm just going to kind of finish with, we got a couple of blank pages there. Here's where we did a little elf on the sunflowers. Here are all napkins. That's all napkins. And then he was in a color book, and we colored them and cut them out and placed them on top. And then we added Stickles, the little glue, the little glitter bottles of Stickles, and added some glitter. Again, it's a little flashed out, guys, but I didn't want to get it too dark. Okay, let's see. Do we have any more in here done? Here's one that's done. He's cut out of a fairy color book. And then this is cut out of a different color book. And this is all napkins here. And that's a different color book. Again, we put some Stickles on there. So yeah, I love this book too. Then here's some with eggs, and we got lots of pages left to do. But I wanted to do the fish one with the mermaid. And if I put the um, little seahorse on here, then I'll wipe this out with a little. Let's go ahead and do that so it dries well before I glue anything down. So let me get some dry palettes here because we just did another project and these are all wet. I don't want to add white paint to those. All right, this one's I peeled this up to show somebody something. Move that. All right, so let's just add a little bit of white paint right here, just so that the seahorse doesn't get lost in the color behind it. Okay, so that's all I'm gonna do right here, guys. Get a brush and just wipe this out so that the seahorse doesn't get lost in the color of that fish behind it. Something like that. Of course, we're going to blend everything in with paint at the end, after we finish anyway. All right, so I'm going to let this sit. I'm going to let this, I don't want to put that in there. Let's move that out of the way. I'm just going to kind of set this aside so we can color the mermaid. Oh, I need those pencils. Make some space from the last project. All right. If you have any questions, put them in caps. Thanks everybody for being here. Don't want him to blow away. So that I know, y'all are talking to me. Keep something there to keep the focus. All right, I think we'll go ahead and zoom in one more. We'll go ahead and do 2. Let's focus again. I think that's pretty good. We can kind of just shuffle it up and down because we're just going to use her, not the background. And I think what we're going to do is we'll do some washes, some watercolor washes, and then we'll do color pencil detail. So I think I'll just, because it's handy, I have my little watercolor set here because I've been working in this book off and on. The Rainforest Escape. I've been working in it. And again, I have a part 2. There's part 1 is on YouTube and part 2 is hung up in Ustream. So I'll just probably just kind of move forward. If it won't, it's still in there after a week. I can't get it to unprocess. It's just still hung up in Ustream. But I didn't really show a whole lot in there other than continuing on in it. But I want to work in that book again, so you can see me working in all kinds of different things like watercolors, the kids' Crayola markers. We'll see. Maybe I'll do some of that. Let's see how far we get in this project first. So. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use this watercolor set to do a wash on it, on the girl, instead of acrylic. You can do either one. Most of the time when I do a page in a color book, I use acrylic paint washes, which just means watered down acrylic paint. And I use Americana craft paint when I do washes. But you have to water it down enough so you still see the lines. So when I say a wash, I just mean watered down acrylic paint so that you can still see your color book lines right underneath. But right now, I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to wet my paints here. I'm just going to spray them down to get them all wet, so whatever ones I decide to use. And I'll just get a water brush. There's one that comes in this set too, but I just have one right here. And so what we're going to do is just do because I don't want to take all day to color a page. You know how long we can take. We did the Bennett Klein Oh Dear in like 10 9 parts in 8 hours. So we're not going to do that much detail in the napkin journal. However, just because we kind of hurry through projects here on Ustream doesn't mean you have to hurry through them when you're doing them. So if you have your own napkin journal, and it doesn't have to be the ledger date book, it can just be any kind of a mixed media sketchbook that you can use to do a napkin journal in. And all you have to do, well, how I do it is I glue all my napkins down that you saw in the book. All these are, the backs are peeled off. The backs are peeled off, and I use golden matte medium. That's my medium of choice. That's my matte medium of choice is golden. They don't sponsor me. They don't pay me to say that. I've just always used golden matte medium for any kind of gluing or collaging. It's the same product that I use when I use my art cards, my collage cards, collage journal pages. Golden matte medium. That's what I use. Um, so that's how all the napkins are glued down. Okay. So we're going to just go ahead and just do a wash on here. And so yeah, I'm just going to mix up a couple of colors. Let's kind of go with the blue-green here. And I'll just add a little bit more water. So I want it kind of thin, I want it thin. And I'm just going to go ahead, and I think I need a little bit more blue. I want her to be kind of a tealy blue. And again, this is just going to be the base coat. And then we're going to go in here with some pencils. We might add some Stickles on there too. Now remember, this is thin paper. This is a thin color book page. Don't be spraying this down with water and try to do a wet on wet coloring watercolor technique. You gotta keep it, don't get it too wet. If you start wanting to layer and layer and layer with more watercolor, dry it in between. Dry it in between. And also, you need to dry, have it 100% dry before you start going in here with color pencil. Don't go on here with color pencil with the paper even damp, because it won't work. And that's the back of her behind her there. There's 2 of them there. You'll just tear your paper. So let me get a little bit more blue, a little bit more green. Get in here with the tail. And again, we'll probably add some Stickles, because that just makes a pretty sparkly mermaid, right? All right. So I'm just putting a light wash. And again, it really doesn't matter. I can go out of lines there because I'm going to cut it out, right? I'm just out of habits trying to stay in lines, but you don't have to, because we're going to cut her out and put her in the napkin journal. All right. So, and I think, let's look at the colors in the fish here. I'm thinking a burnt orange hair, kind of an orange hair. That would be a pretty mermaid, orange hair. Now her skin, I'll probably pretty much just do with, I might put well, let's just see here. Maybe a tiny bit of, let's wet my, let's see, maybe a nice kind of ochre and a pink. Let's see if I can get this light enough. I got very little paint to get a little shadow there. Tissue. Oh, you get too much paint on your brush, just pull it off on a Kleenex. So I'm just going to add a little bit of, and again, I'm going to go in here with color pencil after the fact and do a little shading. But I'm not spending a lot of time on this. Okay, I'm not spending a lot of time. But that doesn't mean you can't. You can spend as much time as you want when you do your page. I'm trying to get it done in an hour or an hour and a half. Okay, so there's just a base coat on the skin. Oh, let me do a little bit on her face here. See a little bit of her face there. Okay. Now I think I want her, like I said, I want to mix up a little bit of a burgundy kind of hair. It's too red. Let's add a little bit of... Do I want it more burgundy or do I want it more orange? I think I want it more orange. Let me redo that over here. If you have any questions, put them in caps. Okay, so I'm going to have kind of an orange hair. And again, I'm not worried about going out of lines because I'm going to cut the whole thing out. So let's just go for it here. Because the fish and the napkins, no, oh, sorry, I should have a shadow on her face. The fish in the page have this color in it too, so it'd kind of be a nice little, tie them together. All right. Now I think I want our little bodice a little bit more on the blue side. Let's just go a little bit more blue. I'm just going to water down my paint here and just have our little top be a little blue, just because it's pretty. And I'll probably put some of this, a little bit of this teal color in their fins. Okay, I can tell the paper's too wet to add another layer, so I'm going to go ahead and hit it with the heat gun before I put that blue on top of the green because it's so wet. So I'm going to go ahead and dry that. Okay. And when I glue color book pages into a napkin journal or any other journal, I just do it with the tacky glue on the back, smoothed out tacky glue on the back, because you can't put matte medium over watercolor because it'll just smear it, okay? So you have to know what you're using product-wise, whether it's going to move with water. So remember, this is all dry for the second coat. All right, just something like that. And again, it doesn't matter if I'm going out of lines because I'm going to cut it out. If you have any questions, put them in caps. Thanks everybody for being here. If you're watching this on recording on YouTube, it's a live show on Ustream. It's free. If anybody watching the recording wants to come over and chat with everybody during the show, I stream every Monday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern, most Wednesdays at 9 a.m. Eastern, and the occasional Friday. Sometimes I do an impromptu, but if you follow me on Ustream, most people get email notifications. I think sometimes it depends on the browser you have. But okay, so that's all the wash I'm going to do. All right, that's all the paint part I'm going to do. So let me move that out of the way. Let me dry this. Okay, so now I'm going to go in here with a little bit of, let's see, maybe a little bit of lime green, and just get in here and start adding a little extra depth, like on the scales here. And you can spend as much, I'm kind of blend that green up into her stomach because you don't really know where the edge of a mermaid ends. And so I think you can kind of see. And it just depends on what colors you like. You could have a purple mermaid, you know, any color you want. So I'm just going to add a little bit of lime on each little scale there, because I'm going to put Stickles on this too. Okay, then maybe just a little bit of, I think it's peacock blue. It's true green. Okay, I don't want really true green. I want more. Let's go with the olive color. And you can just start doing a little bit of shading. And you can spend as much time on this as you want. A little bit darker olive than that. You can spend a lot of time on it, you know. I mean, I want to do a little bit of depth on it, but I'm not going to spend, you know, days or hours. And so having the watercolor wash gives you a nice little base coat to start shading on top of. All right, let's resharpen that one. This is different water. Oh, hey, Haley. Are you watching? Good to have you. So I'm just going to add a little bit of the dark olive green here and there. And I'll go back over it with another green just to, you know, give it some depth. But I'm not spending a whole lot of time, because I'm going to Stickles over the whole thing, which is going to make it shimmery. So, you know, I don't need a whole lot of detail because we're going to shimmer it all up anyway. There needs to be a little bit more blue on this. There's a fin behind there, so let's go ahead and put that in there. Just adding a little bit more variety of the greens in there. You know, just a little bit of shadow or shade or whatever. Same for this girl in the back. Not overly doing it, because the Stickles are going to make it all pop out. I'm going to just go back in there with the lime green. Just do a little bit of blending. So again, you don't have to spend days on a color book if you don't want to. There's times when you want to spend a lot of time on your color book pages. If you're learning blend, you know, you're trying to teach yourself color combinations and blending things together, or, you know, practicing certain techniques, you want to take more time, you know. But if you're just going to put it in an art journal, cut it out in a napkin journal, and you may not want to spend all that time on it. You want to spend more time on the journal part of it. All right, so now I'm going to just add a little bit of, a few little, it's pretty much the same color. Let me get a little bit of white or mint. Let's see about mint. Mint might work. Just add a little bit of, well, it's not called mint. It's called light green, but it's kind of like a mint green for the blue part, the teal part of the fins. Just going out with a little bit of that. Maybe add, again, I'm going to stickle this all up, so it doesn't need a whole lot. Maybe a few little white highlights on the end of the tail there. Hey Trina, what else have I missed? Thanks everybody for stopping in. This is part, I don't know, 4, 3? I don't even know how many things we've done today already. I'm trying to keep them at about an hour just for the purpose of uploading them. There goes my mailman. Uploading them easier. Maybe a little bit of shadow, a little bit of highlights on her little fringed top there. A little bit of light green on the top of her shirt, or shell shirt, or whatever it is. And again, I don't care if I'm going out of lines, I'm going to cut this out. So you can just kind of see a little bit there. All right, let's do a little on our hair now. Let's get some light, bright orange. Let's see which one is the brightest. This one. And a little bit darker, maybe a sienna. That's magenta. I don't want magenta. Terracotta, that'll work. Okay. Just do a little bit of shadow in her hair. And if y'all missed the part where the Happy Mail this morning, the cards, and the Happy Mail, what I did is I showed so far the ATC color book swap cards that we got in. I showed the ones we got in, like 10 or 11 of them so far. I'm going to try to show as many as I can as they come in, depending on when they come in, if we have time before I have to mail them back out. But I want to try to show as many as I can. The little puzzle, they're like a little puzzle because they're a color book page that's cut up into 9 ATCs, and we're doing a swap with those. And yeah, it's really cool. I'm just going to add a little bit of orange here and there. It's very subtle. I don't even know how much you can tell, but I can tell. In person, you know. Just kind of going over the watercolored areas. And you don't have to go over every little bit because it's the colors you're using, and that gives it more depth. See? But, you know, look, it didn't take me, what, 20 minutes to color her? I'm just going to do a little bit on her skin. Put a little flesh color here. Maybe just a tiny bit of white. A little bit of highlight here and there. Not spending a lot of time on it because we're going to cut her out and put her on the art journal page or the napkin journal page. Okay, let's do her little lips. Anybody got any questions or anything? Again, I don't want to add a whole lot of detail on her because she's going to be stickled. We're going to stickle her. All right, let's see. A little shadow there. Under her neck. Probably right there. Arms, this girl back here, have a little bit more shadow. Like her hair? Thanks. But when you have a base coat of either acrylic paint or a watercolor wash, you know, half the work's done for you in that sense. You just go in there and shadow and highlight. Don't take too long. All right, so that's all I'm going to do on her. Let me pull the pencils away, and let's see how we can play with the, I'm not sure if I'm going to want anything else on the fish page. Maybe we don't need a lot, you know? All right, let's see. Scissors here. And again, this is out of, what I do, tear out 2 pages at once? I must have. Let's put that one back in the book. We're not using that one. This is out of the Mermaid coloring collection, Selena French. And there's 2 of each. There's 2 of each in there. All right, so now I'm just going to cut her out. And it's a one-sided, so you don't have to worry about ruining wasting a back page. And you can always make a copy if you're going to just cut, you're just going to color it and throw it in your, or glue it in, I shouldn't say throw, glue it in your mixed media journal or your napkin journal. Thanks, Donna. Thanks, Terry, for putting a link in there. Terry's been doing some enabling while you've been recuperating, Eileen. She's been, because, you know, we have to have an official enabler. And so while you're recuperating, Terry's been picking up the slack. Terry's been picking up the enabling slack for you, Eileen, till you're back. So I'm just following along, cutting her out. Get rid of the excess that's kind of in your way. I'm going to kind of come down here, stay in camera because I'm so zoomed in. Cut our little fins. Let me just go ahead and cut all the way down here and get rid of the... And I told y'all about this before. If you need to get inside of a little area to cut out, you know, of course you can do it however you want, but instead of having to poke in there and trying to cut that out, just follow one of the lines, like right there. Just cut right through that line. You're going to glue her down anyway, so it doesn't really matter if you cut through a line, a color book line, to get in those spaces. See, and that's going to be glued back down anyway. So same thing for up in here. Can you spray work? I don't spray any, I don't fixative anything. Let me just say that. I hate to recommend anything because people are going to say, well, which fixative, which color book, which kind of paper, what kind of watercolor? Can I spray it over? You'll have to test that yourself, guys. I don't fixative anything. Okay, if I know it's watercolor, I just don't put anything on it. I mean, if I know it's wet medium, I don't. But I'm not saying you can. I'm just saying you'll have to test out the brands and the type of watercolor. Because, you know, there's watercolors, there's neocolors, there's ink tints, there's, you know, the watercolor markers now, like the ones Eileen gave me, you know, things like that. So does a certain fixative work over all of those on a certain paper? Yeah, it's too many variables. Too many variables. Yeah. Yeah. Now I'm going to put Stickles on here, but that doesn't matter if it gets wet because the Stickles gluey, glittery stuff, you're not going to see if it's smeared. You know what I mean, Vern? You're not going to see if it's smeared with glitter on top of it. Okay, so there we go. Oh, let me get the tail here. Got the tail. So I would just, you know, look it up. I'm sure someone on YouTube has probably used every kind of fixative on every kind of surface, but on every kind of water and on every kind of color book page. My recommendation is always to test it. Test it in the back of the page. Nope, I don't varnish over what. No, varnish will move your watercolors because it's wet. It's like putting water on top of watercolor. I don't varnish any watercolors. I don't varnish anything that might move. With the exception of maybe the dilutions, I'll take my chances in an art journal sometimes when I'm collaging, but you take your chances when you put wet stuff on top of your water media. Just saying, Vern. Just saying. Speaking of Vern, let's see Vern today. He's hypnotizing you. He'll hypnotize you. Okay. All right, so there we go with our mermaid. Let's pick up all the scraps. And again, that's the book we're using. All right, so now let's come back over here where I have I just whited out that one fish because that's where we're going to put the seahorse. And I don't want him to get, look, if you put him on top of, see how dark that is under, you can see right through it. And I want him to stand out a little more. And most of this will get melded out. But if you're afraid that you might show up too much, well, that's not the best thing to cut a napkin with. Just cut around it a little. Because we're going to paint in anyway. Maybe we'll put some bubbles, some planets. I don't know. All right, but when I glue down collage or napkins, I use my golden matte medium. Let me just squeeze a little out here. Okay, and I just put it in a dish soap bottle, but it's my gold. I'm just going to squeeze out a little bit. I don't need much because it's just one little bit. Uh-oh, where'd he go? Here he is. I'm just going to glue him down. And again, when you go over a napkin, you got to kind of be gentle because it'll, it's thin. It's thin. But all the napkins are glued down with my matte medium. Hey, Vern, yeah. All right, there we go. That's all I need because let me move this out of the way. So when I glue her down, I don't want to put matte medium over her because it'll move the watercolor, right? So I'm going to glue her down with just some Eileen's tacky glue. Now I got to kind of decide where I want to. That's almost too blue. I mean, I might need to get rid of that fish there because I'm kind of losing her in there. So I think I will get rid of some of that with a little bit of white paint here. Let's get rid of some of this fish here so she kind of stands out. And you could put a glue her down and paint it out afterward. Just whatever you feel like. I'm just going to kind of see where I want her. Something like that. Maybe get rid of that one too. That one's a little distracting. Maybe something around her head. Because I want her something like in there. Something like that. All right, let me go ahead and back out one now. Because I can't get the whole thing in. Back out two maybe. All right, let's refocus, guys. Looks amazing. Oh, well, I think she'll be good when we get her painted in. Just going to get rid of a little bit of stuff behind her head here. I don't want to lose all her detail, That stands out enough from that fish, I think. Something like that. All right, so let me go and dry it. He done. Maybe just a little bit of the top of the seahorse here. So he stands out just a little bit. Yep, there's upside down and right side. I did the napkin both ways on purpose. We're going to put a little world in here. We're going to paint a little world. I think that's good. All right, so now what I'm going to do to put her in here, I'm going to just use my tacky glue, and I'm going to I put quite a bit, but you want to smear it out with your fingers so you don't leave it lumpy and bumpy, because that will show through the glue lines like that. And really, if you put it in a phone book or something, like, That's the best way, is just to take an old phone book so that you can get all the way to the edge, like just glue, get the glue all the way off the edge like that, so you don't lose any, you keep it real smooth. But sometimes when you glue it down on a napkin journal, it's lumpy and kind of textury, so you might have to still go back in there. You might still have to go back in there and add some glue around some edges, maybe. Like that. Okay, let me get ready to wipe glue off my fingers. Thanks, guys. All right, so I'm just going to make sure everything's glued down well. Again, because she's on a napkin, you might have to get back in there with a little extra glue. You just got to kind of, because it is textured. All right. And then I'm going to dry it again because the glue is wet underneath, and I want everything nice and dry here. We're going to paint her in. And you want to do Stickles at the very last, because Stickles are going to take some hours to dry, and so you want to do the Stickles last, because then you got to set the book aside, right? So that'll be the last thing we do with her. Move some of this stuff out of the way. Scissors. Okay. All right. Sip of coffee. Thanks everybody for hanging out. Okay, so now, there's a little bit of her fin right there that I didn't quite get glued down. Let's glue that little bit there. Okay, all right, so I think I'm going to start with my black and white and blue and maybe some orange. I don't know. I'm going to probably put some stars, planets. She might be half underwater, could be half space. We'll see where it goes. All right, so there's some white, some black. Probably, I kind of like maybe a little extra teal in there. Let's try that. And maybe some orange planets or something. I don't know. We make it up as we go at this point. We'll see how the world progresses, but don't be afraid. Oh, one other thing though, I am going to put some wax paper between this because I'm going to go all the way to the edge, and I don't want to accidentally glue my pages together, which can happen because I put thick paint, and I don't want to accidentally glue my pages together. All right, let me put this bookmark in the back. Out of the way. So just under each page, I want a little, let me tear this, paint on that, okay. I don't care if it gets on the next page, but what I care about is not gluing the pages shut with excess paint. Alrighty, so I think I'm going to start with my finger, and I'm going to start, now let me say again, the reason I'm able to move the paint around is because it's got the matte medium on it. Because it's got matte medium on all the napkin, now it's not on her, but it's on all the napkin, I can move the paint around and manipulate the paint. You can't do that. You couldn't just put this paint on a napkin that has no matte medium. It won't blend. It'll just be stuck on there. But look, see, look, I'm gonna put some black on that fish because it's got matte medium on it, so I can wipe it away. See, it'll wipe away. Now you gotta be careful because it can tear. It's a napkin, but you can manipulate your paint. Okay, so right now I just want to get rid of the edge. That's all I'm going to do right now. Just get rid of the white edge. Just getting rid of the white edge. And I'll start blending. I'll blend it in here in a minute, but right now, just getting rid of the white edge. This is why I have the wax paper there. Once I got the edge all coated here, then I don't need I can take that out. I just don't want to accidentally glue my pages together. Okay, there we go. And once the wax paper is dry, this can be reused, you know, don't throw it away. All right, so let me get rid of the excess paint on my hand. Well, we're getting there. We're getting there. Let me get rid of all the paint off my hands because I know it's messy. All right, let me move him out of the way. I don't mind the paint on my hands, but I'm getting ready to add another color. All right, so now I think I'll take a baby wipe, and with some of the blue teal color here, I'm going to start blending it in. I'm going to go all the way around and start making it like she's like in a little world here. And I'm just kind of making it a little more focused, if you will, around her. Get too much, you just got to kind of keep moving. So right now I'm just kind of really focusing on getting the blue and the black kind of edge out. Then I'm going to move it all in. You know? So if I need to, I'll add a little bit more black to get it. Hang on, guys, I got to answer this real quick. One second. Okay. All right. So you can see how it's going from the black to the blue here. Again, I'm just kind of trying to make a kind of a border. I'm going to start focusing it in or blending it in here in a minute. Okay. All the way around. Like that. All right, now I'm going to find a clean spot. Remember, your baby wipe is wet. So now I can start blending in lightly with the wet baby wipe. And again, it's a napkin there still. It's texture. You're going to feel the texture when you're doing this in a napkin journal. You're going to feel the texture. So you don't want to rub and rub and rub too much because you will rub off the napkin, right? You know, you got to, yes. Okay. So I'm just going to kind of really get rid of some more of the white. But I don't want to lose all the fish and everything. I just want to kind of, you know, kind of just make it look more watery. Again, I'm going to be careful on her now because she's not coated with anything. I've got a little on her face. You got to be careful because it's not going to come off of her. She's not coated with anything. All right, so let me just keep working here kind of around her. I don't care if it gets a little bit on her, I really don't. But just saying, be aware. Be aware that you can't wipe off the paint off of her because she's not coated with anything. She's got color pencil. If you got enough waxy color pencil on there, you could probably wipe it some. But, you know. Alright, so let's just get a little bit more blue down here. And you can get in here with a brush too, which we're going to do some of that too. Right now I'm just getting rid and see a little bit of her fins not glued down. Let me re-glue that. Glue the fin. That. So you see it's starting to come together. I can add some more. I want to continue on with a little bit more blue here and there. Just to kind of make the edges like, because the fish are kind of like, you know, the napkin. They're kind of swimming back and forth. They're swimming off the napkin. I mean, they're swimming off the page. So it kind of gives you the illusion that you can't see where they're coming and going. You know what I mean, Vern? And just take your time, however much time you want to spend, blending and playing. Alright, so I'm just going to keep kind of going around with the blue and the black and getting it just how I want. Because I'm going to put some stars, some water splashes, some planets, and do a little of all that. And she'll be stickled at the end. Okay. Got any questions, guys? Are we good? Now, the one thing too is you got to crack down the middle because you're in a journal. So you got to kind of either fill it in a little or ignore it, one or the other. Okay. So there's our start. We need a little bit more blue right in here, I think. And just kind of look it over and decide where you want more detail. All right, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put some stars. Maybe I'll put some kelp down here again because, see, I've rubbed on her little fin here. It's coming up. Got to be conscious of your color book page there. All right, so now I'm going to do a little bit of stars and planets. So I think I'm going to do, I want to do a couple of orange things here. I think I'll put an orange one here. Just a couple. Maybe a nice bright couple of them over here. Because I'm going to put stars too. Okay. Let's make that one just a little bigger. I need that a little brighter. There we go. That's better. What amazing little paint will do. I know, right? All right, now I'm going to, let me go ahead and add some water to my white right here. And a fluffy brush so you can get it real inky. And I'm just going to kind of start splashing it here first to get it kind of going. And then I'm going to lightly do. If you get too much, just go in there and wipe some back or paint over it. If you get too much, you can paint over it. But I want some down here. I want it less and less down toward the bottom. So it can be bubbles, it can be foam, it can be space, a little of all of it. Get too much on your fish or whatever. Now once it's on her, I don't mind that on there, but be aware, you know, when you're putting any paint over the color book page. All right, so I'm liking that. Now let me dry it so we can do some other things. Thanks, Anonymous. Thanks, Lane. I have to think for a second. Takes a little longer to dry the spots because it's thicker, you know. Even though you watered it down, it's still a blob of paint, so it takes just a little bit more to dry. You know, and if something like this bothers you, see where the crack is, you can go in there with, you know, you can paint it in there. It doesn't have to be like, I don't have to fully on paint that whole fish, but you can get in there with a little bit of blend, you know, just a little bit like this across the two, just so if it bothers you that there's a, you know, a break in there. But the more you, when you open and close your book, that's probably going to come back anyway because it's in the crease of your book. But you can at least start it where you don't have it, the crack, you know, in the spine showing, right? So I'm just kind of going in there with a little bit of, maybe this fish just needs more fish. He's kind of half gone there. Something like that. So you can fill it in. But again, the more you keep opening and closing the book, that's probably going to get white again in there anyway. But, you know, just so it's not at the beginning if it bothers you. Something like that, right? Okay. All right, now I'm going to get a white pencil. And I think I'm just going to accent a few. Just give me myself a little bit of, I think I'll do one shooting star right here. We didn't even put a watch part in this one. You know, we usually have our watch part, you know, indicating time. Y'all know I love that. But we just stuck with the fish napkin this time. Let's go around these two that we did over here. You can make it look like a Saturn kind of thing. So I'll just put some white, and then I'll go back in there and kind of shade it out with the black. Make it nice and sharp. Like that. So that you know it's space. Do a little something like that. And you can add as much as you want. You know, you can just keep playing and playing in there. Kind of keeping it kind of simple for time's sake. We're already over an hour. We're already over an hour and I want to Stickles. Okay, so let me go ahead and let's go ahead and do the Stickles now. And if you just buy one Stickle, just buy the diamond one, because it's like clear. So when you put the Stickles on, it picks up whatever color's underneath. Okay? All right, so I'm going to put a little bit in the planets up here. In the three, I'll put a little bit on the shooting star too. But on the three that I made here. And then along the, so just kind of see a little bit. Let's see if we can get it to sparkle. Whoops. See, you don't lose the color underneath. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and do the Seahorse, and I'm not necessarily coloring it in solid. Okay, I'm just getting enough on there, and you can always just take your finger and kind of move it over the whole thing too. Doesn't take much. Look. Let's see if I can. Can you see it twinkle? Okay. All right, now I'm going to do her. I'm not going to do all her hair, but I'm going to do stripes in her hair, you know, like streaks of sparkle. In no particular order, just a few little streaks of glitter in her hair. I'm not trying to necessarily fill it in solid, although if you take your finger and just rub it over the whole thing, you'll have it solid. Okay, now this is where I'll put it like a kind of just scribble it on her body like that and then rub it. So it just kind of fills in the whole tail like that. a little bit of glue on that fin. Okay. Get back in there on the fins. And again, you can just rub it with your finger. I'm not pushing hard. I'm just, kind of gliding over the whole thing to get it just, all over the whole thing. So, kind of like that. I'm looking at it. You can tilt it to see where you might have missed something. Or you want a little bit more. Because, you can see where it shines. I think that's good. All right, so let's go ahead and look at her. All right. Again, it's a little flashed out. It's really quite dark. There's the more of the color right there. See how it's really darker? There. My camera wants to flash it out, guys. So see a twinkle on there, on the seahorse, on her hair. Okay. Yeah, Diamond Stickles. I'm going to do her little shirt. Because it's clear, you don't need every color. And I've probably got 30 colors. You don't need them all. If you just, the clear, the diamond clear, because it gives you the glitter, and it's, you can see through it. So I'm going to call that one done, guys. So if you'll hang on, I'm going to save this video. Can you all see her there? Thanks, guys. So you can see what you can do with a napkin or two, a little bit of smeared in paint, a color book page, some splattery paint, and a little Stickles. That's pretty much all we did. So, all right, guys, hang on and I'll be right back. Let me save this, and if you're watching this recording, thanks for being